course, as soon as I turn the camera on, then the traffic starts flooding by. And for the record, I can do the exact same thing on the kitchen stove, in the kitchen. However, certain individuals, and y'all know who you are, insisted that I show that this can be done on a camp stove. Same thing as over a campfire, grill, etc. So, I guess you could call this prepper pancakes. So first off, let's get our skillet going. First things first, this is not my general camp skillet. This is probably the worst skillet that I have in existence. And after this pancake, it's going to go in the lead collection bin. So anyway, just to get us started here, and to show that even crappy cookware works, something for all you campers and preppers: good canola oil. I usually use the canola. A lot of people try to use what's called the baking spray. The baking spray is basically flour in a can. It keeps the cakes from sticking by basically spray flouring the pan. So I recommend using the canola. Fits in any kit and works. I'll go a little heavy on it since this is a really, really lousy skillet. I really don't want it to stick. The reason I have a lid on here is we're going to show you why our pancakes get so nice and fluffy and airy on the inside. So we're just going to cover that. And no, that is not the lid that goes to that skillet, but again, it's what we have at hand. And also on this stove, I'm running straight gasoline in it. This is actually my lead smelting stove. No lead in it, so don't worry, I'm not going to poison anybody. But I have no idea what the heat temperature is set at. And so we know here, as you can see how small the burn area is. We only have a small burner. That's going to concentrate the heat in the center and create a hot spot. The way to get around that hot spot is to turn your heat down and let it cook slower. That way the heat can dissipate across the bottom. Also with the top on, it's going to cook through from the middle and also on the top. I might have this too low. It might take us 15 minutes to make one pancake. I might have it too high. Might burn in the middle. The only way we're going to find out is to check it and see. So to start off, all we have here simply, again, I'm trying to get behind the camera and hold stuff in front at the same time, a 1.5 cups of self-rising flour. Now usually what I'll do is I'll take my fork, any lumps, anything like that, I'll just stir it up with a fork, get any lumps out of it before I add any wet ingredients. So again, 1.5 cups of self-rising flour. 1 egg. This is for you people doing it at the house. We'll get into just a minute about how to get away from eggs. And we have a little milk. Pour a little in. I can lick it off the side of the cup because I'm the one cooking it. And we just start basically pulling a little bit of dry into the wet at a time. Starts getting too thick, we add a little bit more milk. But again, just kind of pull it away from the sides. We'll need a little more. Oops, I'm also making a horrendous mess. So I'll mix this back here. So a general rule of thumb, just so you know you have enough milk. Generally I use a 1.5 cups of flour and in the neighborhood of probably 3/4 cups of milk. Maybe more, maybe less. Again, this is one of those experiment on your own. The thicker the batter, generally the more airy your pancakes or bread or biscuits or whatever you're making is going to be. People that like griddle cakes, flapjacks, or just plain pancakes for you city folk, you run a thinner batter. You'll have thinner and not quite as fluffy pancakes. However, I'm lazy, which you're about to see. And for an example of a somewhat thick batter, you can tell I'm going to add just a touch more milk to mine. Again, we just stir it up nice and... Now, generally, the skillet I usually use, I use a 12-inch skillet. And the entire batch goes in one big, thick, giant pancake. That way I'm not sitting there turning it, flipping it. It comes out nice and thick and fluffy. However, since our skillet's so small, we're going to have to do this in twos. And yes, indeedy, that flame is really hot. Almost have a little too much in there. Get out from behind the camera here. So that's about half. Now I could put more in this one and less in the next one, but that's about half. And the trick, cover. And since I don't have pause on this camera, and this is going to be one long video, I'm going to grab a cup of coffee while y'all sit and wait. Or, as I'm assuming you're doing at home if you're watching this at this particular moment, fast forward. Okay, I figured I better get y'all's attention with a little hand signal here in case y'all are still running the fast forward button. While we're waiting on this, since we're showing how to do this as far as a camping situation, or as y'all keep saying, prepper situation, survivalist, whatever, probably not going to have any fresh eggs with you, and you're also not going to have any refrigerator milk with you. So generally, things we put in our kits: flour, something you're going to use. I know a lot of people keep mentioning, well, you can vacuum seal it and this, that, and the other for long storage. Flour is something you're going to use. If you've got flour in your camping kit, prepper kit, whatever kind of kit you want to call it, if it starts getting old, take it out, use it in the kitchen. This isn't something you have to store lengthy periods of time. If your flour gets old, you use it, you put fresh flour. Ziploc bag. That's all you need. If you're worried about it getting mushed up, broken open in your backpack kit, whatever, put it in a box. Put it in the Ziploc bags. Squeeze all the air out of it. Zip it up. Put it in something else. Put it in your kit. Simple. Evaporated milk. Now here's what you have to remember. If you're using evaporated milk, that milk has been evaporated. Part of the water's been taken out of it. If you're going to use canned evaporated milk, cut it half and half with water. Problem solved. Now, back to if you're in the field, if you don't have eggs, you do need a little bit of some type of fattening agent to kind of get it to stick together a little better. You don't have to, but it works better. So, if you're in the field, if you don't have an egg, instead of mixing your milk half and half with water, your evaporated milk, just use your evaporated milk straight out of the can. That will take the place of the egg. So I guess I can check this now and see. We will show you when it's ready to flip. And I left it in too long, my heat's on too high, and it's past the bubbly stage. This is also not going to be quite as fluffy because I made it thinner. But as you can see, it's still a fairly fluffy pancake. And yes, I call this pancake instead of bread because there's no shortening in the mix. And it's going to be a lot lighter than what a bread would be. Next video, we're going to be doing bread. And I know, y'all are probably bored to tears. Also, this camera is not showing up. All I get is kind of a big white spot where my pancake is looking at it from this way. But it's not showing up how nice and golden it is. But we'll get a picture of that when it gets done. So I will cover it back since we flipped it. That just keeps the heat in. It lets the inside get done without burning on the outside. So as far as the heat, easy way to tell if you have your burner up too high, which as you can see on this, there was no brown spot in the center and still white around the edges. If you start getting dunner in the center, that means you have your heat up too high. You have a hot spot, and it's cooking that portion faster than the rest. So simply turn your heat down, turn your burner down. I like doing this. Generally, as I said, I always use iron skillets. Even in my kitchen, I use iron skillets. That's all I use. So when I'm camping, when I'm outside, if I'm cooking over a campfire, I'm using the same skillet I use on the stove. The reason I like using the campfire is basically you're going to have just simply a grate hung over your campfire. Set your skillet on the grate to hold it up out of the flames. And your fire is not going to be a spot this big. You're going to have a campfire-sized area. That way you're going to get even heat all over the bottom. But if a stove is what you have, then this simply shows you that it can be done nice and neat and pretty on a really, really old Coleman gas stove. Or a new one. I know now a lot of you have got the, everything's propane fired. Again, I'm running, not even running high test. This is a regular unleaded I'm running in this thing. That's what I had. So, anyhow, most people are using the propane. Yeah, they've got the propane griddles. I know a lot of y'all probably got the propane coffee pots. That will be in the bread video. Proper coffee without having to go through the propane stuff. Okay, we're going to check this again. I'm just killing time while y'all get to sit here and wait, if you haven't still fast forwarded it. So once it's fluffed, you can either cover it, as long as you're not doughy in the center, which that one's not. But at this point, the reason you cover it is that holds the steam in, and that steam is going to cause it to rise more. That's why it gets so nice and fluffy. This is also how we do our omelets, which, yes, I know I still have another video to do on omelets also. So we got bread, omelets, hoe cakes versus cornbread. I think we'll split the hoe cakes and the cornbread up into 2 videos, even though hoe cakes are just skillet fried cornbread. Okay. Well, since the instruction is pretty much over, and all I'm doing now is just waiting for it to golden brown on each side. Y'all probably don't want to actually sit here and wait and watch for it to golden brown, so if we can get just a little, this is just now starting to brown. Again, this camera sucks. Does not do justice, but that'll give you a little clue. And to show you the internal structure, even though this is not done yet. And it's hot. Ow. So we could show you what we're talking about. How nice and fluffy. Now this is still wet in the middle. So as it browns, it will get even fluffier. But this is a fluffy pancake. And I'm steaming up my camera lens. But all these little nice pretty little holes in here, you can see the little pockets. That just holds your syrup. It's like a sponge. It's a syrup sponge. Actually, if not being browned, it's pretty good. So anyway, quick, easy, simple campfire pancakes. Now I got to go all the way back to get the syrup.